The Africa Climate Summit 2023 has culminated in the Nairobi Declaration, with the continent's leaders asking developed nations to honor their commitments to provide $100 billion a year in climate finance. They also made new proposals in a bid to secure more funding that's desperately needed to cover the cost of climate mitigation. One of those proposals is a carbon tax. But is this feasible? And if so, how would it even work? CGTN's Najma Abdurizak starts us off at this hour.
In a significant development at the Africa Climate Summit, taxing carbon emerged as a potential solution to reducing greenhouse gas emissions and encourage sustainable practices.
We believe it is time to have a conversation about carbon tax. I said we need to have a conversation about carbon tax.
The proposal by delegates from various African nations will impose a fee on the carbon content of fossil fuels, including coal, oil and natural gas, as well as other sources of carbon emission. African leaders at the summit argue that a carbon tax will not only cut emissions, but also generate the much-needed revenue to invest in renewable energy projects, along with climate change adoption measures.
It is among the ways that we can raise additional and adequate resources for us to finance our development.
Carbon pricing and true carbon credits. And you are rich in carbon sinks here. And to reward this contribution, we have to get there.
However, there's contention that a carbon tax will make life more expensive. Some analysts argue that the tax may lead to increased energy costs and potential job losses in industries heavily reliant on fossil fuels.
How do you price it? The mechanics, the concepts, or how exactly you get into the pricing that this country or this emitter is supposed to pay this percentage or whatever in dollar terms as the carbon tax. I think that's where it's a bit difficult in terms of mitigation.
There's also questions as to whether the carbon tax idea will ever become a reality, given the failure by the global north to deliver on their pledge of $100 billion made at the COP15.
Carbon markets and geoengineering are bogus solutions that hurt our planet and people. Net zero is not true net zero. We call them to commit on delivering on the 2003 Maputo Declaration.
The focus now turns to the progress made towards reaching a consensus on the carbon tax proposal and the collective effort to combat climate change in Africa. Najma Abdurizak, CGTN, Nairobi.